Some names become famous because of talent. Others become unforgettable because every chapter of their journey hides details that many people never notice. Behind Park Jimin's graceful performances, emotional vocals, and worldwide recognition, there are lesser-known stories that reveal years of discipline, sacrifice, and remarkable achievements long before and after BTS conquered the global music industry. Some of these facts have been buried beneath countless headlines, while others are often overshadowed by his enormous popularity. Each one offers a different perspective on the person behind the spotlight, a performer whose path has been shaped by relentless dedication rather than coincidence. Kpop Fact Today presents 6 fascinating facts about BTS's Jimin that many fans may have never discovered. As the countdown unfolds, the final revelation may completely change the way his journey is remembered.
Number 6. Jimin trained in martial arts long before becoming a BTS member. Long before the dazzling concert stages, synchronized choreography, and sold-out stadium tours became part of Park Jimin's everyday life, another chapter of his story was quietly unfolding in Busan, South Korea. During his childhood and early teenage years, Jimin devoted a significant amount of time to practicing Taekwondo, one of Korea's most respected martial arts. Official records and numerous interviews over the years have consistently pointed to this period as an important foundation for his physical development. While millions of fans recognize Jimin today for his elegant dance lines, extraordinary balance, and fluid body control, far fewer realize that many of those qualities were built long before he ever entered a dance studio as a K-pop trainee. Taekwondo is not simply about kicks and punches. It demands discipline, explosive power, flexibility, precision, timing, and complete control over every movement. These same qualities would later become defining characteristics of Jimin's performances on stage. Dance professionals have often observed that contemporary dancers with martial arts backgrounds tend to demonstrate exceptional body awareness, and many fans believe Jimin's remarkable ability to execute difficult choreography with effortless precision reflects years of athletic training that began well before BTS existed. Throughout BTS's career, observant viewers have occasionally noticed moments during rehearsals, performances, and behind-the-scenes footage where Jimin's balance, flexibility, and controlled movements appear unusually refined. Although these moments are often attributed solely to his dance education, the broader context suggests that his martial arts experience likely contributed to the physical discipline required to master demanding choreography under intense schedules. As BTS's performances evolved into increasingly complex productions involving rapid formations, aerial movements, sharp directional changes, and physically exhausting routines, Jimin consistently maintained a reputation as one of the group's most technically controlled performers. Official accounts do not suggest that Taekwondo alone created his dance ability, but they do indicate that it formed an important part of the athletic foundation upon which his later training was built. Looking back, it becomes easier to understand why Jimin was capable of adapting to some of the most challenging choreography in modern K-pop, despite the immense pressure placed upon trainees preparing for debut. Behind every graceful spin and every seemingly effortless leap was a body conditioned through years of structured practice, long before cameras and global audiences ever entered the picture. It is a reminder that what appears effortless on stage is often the result of countless unseen hours of preparation hidden from public view. And perhaps that raises an intriguing question. If fans had never learned about Jimin's martial arts background, would they have fully understood where his extraordinary stage presence truly began? Number 5. Jimin was the last BTS member to join Big Hit before the group's debut. In the years leading up to BTS's debut in 2013, the future of the group was still uncertain. Big Hit Entertainment was a relatively small company compared to the industry's established giants, and the trainee lineup continued to evolve as the agency searched for the right combination of talent, chemistry, and determination. It was during this crucial period that Park Jimin entered the company. Unlike several other BTS members who had spent years training under Big Hit, Jimin joined the agency only a relatively short time before the group's official debut. According to official accounts shared by BTS members and the company over the years, this left him with significantly less time to prepare than most of his teammates. For many aspiring idols, such a situation could have become an overwhelming disadvantage. Every trainee must master singing, dancing, stage performance, media training, teamwork, and countless evaluations before debuting. Compressing years of development into a much shorter period would require extraordinary discipline and resilience. Yet Jimin chose to face that challenge rather than retreat from it. Former interviews and documentary footage have painted a picture of an intense training period filled with relentless practice sessions that often extended late into the night. Various BTS members have recalled how determined Jimin was to improve every aspect of his performance, constantly pushing himself to close the gap between his own abilities and those of trainees who had been preparing for much longer. His background in contemporary dance gave him a strong technical advantage in movement, but becoming a complete K-pop idol demanded much more than exceptional dancing. He needed to refine his vocal technique, adapt to entirely different performance styles, memorize increasingly complex choreography, and build confidence while preparing for one of the most important moments of his life. Official interviews suggest that Jimin frequently practiced beyond scheduled training hours, determined to prove that the company's decision to include him in the final lineup had been justified. Those close to BTS have occasionally described Jimin as someone who set exceptionally high standards for himself during those trainee days. Rather than becoming satisfied with meeting expectations, he purportedly continued practicing until he believes his performance matched the vision he had in mind. Fans who later watched BTS documentaries such as Burn the Stage and Break the Silence may recognize that this perfectionist mindset remained part of Jimin's personality long after debut. His willingness to critique his own performances, even after receiving praise from audiences around the world, reflects a work ethic that many believe was forged during those compressed months before BTS officially entered the music industry. While countless viewers only witnessed the polished performer who appeared on debut day, very few ever saw the exhausting preparation that made that moment possible. Looking back, Jimin's rapid journey into BTS has become one of the most remarkable examples of how determination can accelerate growth under extraordinary pressure. Official records show that despite having less preparation time than many other trainees, he successfully secured his place in what would eventually become one of the most influential music groups in modern history. His story demonstrates that time alone does not determine success. Perseverance, adaptability, and relentless commitment can sometimes outweigh years of experience. Yet one mystery continues to fascinate many fans. If Jimin had arrived at Big Hit only a little later, would the history of BTS and perhaps even the history of modern K-pop have unfolded in exactly the same way?
Number 4. Jimin studied contemporary dance professionally before becoming an idol. Before stadium lights illuminated his performances and before millions of fans around the world came to recognize his unmistakable stage presence, Park Jimin spent years refining a very different kind of artistry inside the practice halls of Busan High School of Arts. Long before the name BTS became a global phenomenon, Jimin was already pursuing formal training in contemporary dance, a discipline that emphasizes emotional storytelling, precision, balance, and complete control of the human body rather than simply executing technically difficult movements. Official records and interviews throughout the years consistently identify this period as one of the most important chapters in shaping the performer audiences know today. While many K-pop idols begin their careers with strong dance abilities developed through entertainment company training, Jimin entered that world carrying an educational foundation built through structured artistic instruction, where every movement was expected to communicate meaning rather than simply entertain. This distinction would later become one of the defining characteristics of his performances. Inside the demanding environment of a professional art school, students were expected to master far more than choreography. Contemporary dance required discipline, musical interpretation, flexibility, posture, endurance, and the ability to convey emotion without speaking a single word. Every rehearsal focused not only on physical execution, but also on expression, encouraging performers to transform technique into storytelling. Teachers evaluated details that casual audiences would rarely notice, including breathing rhythm, balance, transitions between movements, and emotional consistency throughout an entire performance. According to publicly available information, Jimin excelled in this environment and earned recognition for his abilities before eventually deciding to pursue a completely different path within the Korean entertainment industry. Rather than remaining solely within the world of professional dance, he chose to audition for big hit entertainment, a decision that would dramatically alter the course of his career. As BTS grew into an international sensation, many choreographers and dance analysts began pointing out the qualities that distinguished Jimin from countless other performers. His movements often appeared unusually fluid, with transitions that connected naturally from one sequence to another rather than feeling mechanically rehearsed. Even during powerful choreography filled with explosive energy, he frequently maintained an elegance that reflected principles commonly associated with contemporary dance. Fans have long admired this unique style, while professional dancers have occasionally commented that his performances demonstrate body awareness developed through years of formal artistic education rather than entertainment training alone. Official performances such as Black Swan, Lie, Filter, and several solo stages have frequently been cited by viewers as examples of how his educational background continues to influence his artistic expression. Although BTS choreography is designed collaboratively and performed by all 7 members, Jimin's interpretation of movements has often stood out because of the emotional nuance he naturally incorporates into each performance. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this chapter is that contemporary dance itself rarely guarantees success within the K-pop industry. The demands placed upon idols extend far beyond artistic movement. Vocal performance, live stage endurance, media appearances, variety programs, international promotions, and constant public attention require an entirely different set of skills. Yet Jimin managed to transform an academic background in dance into one of the strongest foundations for an idol career, adapting classical artistic principles to modern popular music without losing the expressive qualities that first defined his performances. Official interviews over the years suggest that he continues to value learning and self-improvement, constantly refining both his technical ability and emotional delivery even after achieving worldwide recognition. Looking back, it becomes increasingly clear that the graceful performer seen by millions today did not emerge overnight. He was shaped by years of disciplined artistic education, long before global fame ever became a possibility. And perhaps that leaves one lingering question. If Jimin had chosen to remain on the path of contemporary dance instead of joining big hit entertainment, would the world ever have witnessed the performer who would eventually captivate audiences across every continent?
Number 3. The nickname Mochi was not always Jimin's favorite. Long before BTS became a global cultural phenomenon, and long before Park Jimin stood on the world's biggest stages performing before tens of thousands of fans, a seemingly innocent nickname quietly became attached to his public image. During the group's early debut years, countless fans began referring to him as Mochi, a nickname inspired by the soft Japanese rice cake because of his youthful appearance, rounded cheeks, and warm smile. At first glance, the nickname appeared to be nothing more than a harmless expression of affection from ARMY. It spread rapidly across fan communities, social media platforms, fan art, and merchandise, eventually becoming one of the most recognizable nicknames associated with Jimin. New fans adopted it almost immediately after discovering BTS, while longtime supporters continued using it as a symbol of the member they admired for his gentle personality and approachable charm. Yet beneath this overwhelmingly positive image existed a far more complex reality that many casual followers never noticed. Official interviews and public conversations over the years reveal that Jimin's relationship with the nickname has been far more nuanced than many people initially assumed. As BTS's popularity expanded across Asia and eventually the rest of the world, every member gradually developed a public identity that audiences could easily recognize. Some became associated with leadership, others with humor, creativity, confidence, or musical production. In Jimin's case, the image of being irresistibly cute quickly became one of the defining characteristics promoted throughout the group's early years. Television appearances, variety shows, fan edits, and online discussions frequently highlighted his adorable expressions, affectionate interactions with fellow members, and naturally charming personality. While this image undoubtedly strengthened his popularity among fans, official interviews suggest that Jimin also hoped audiences would recognize another side of him, one built upon discipline, maturity, professionalism, and artistic growth.
Over time, he occasionally expressed that he wanted people to see beyond his youthful appearance and appreciate the effort he invested into becoming a serious performer. These remarks did not indicate that he disliked his fans or rejected their affection. Instead, they reflected a common challenge faced by many public figures whose carefully evolving identities become overshadowed by a single characteristic that audiences find memorable. Industry observers have often noted that public perception can become surprisingly difficult to reshape once an artist becomes strongly associated with a particular image. In the entertainment industry, nicknames may appear harmless, but they can also influence how performers are viewed by audiences, advertisers, producers, and even the media. For Jimin, being recognized primarily as the Kpop member carried both advantages and limitations. On one hand, the nickname strengthened emotional connections with fans and helped establish one of the most beloved public personas in K-pop. On the other hand, it sometimes risked overshadowing the extraordinary dedication that defines his career behind the scenes. Official documentaries, rehearsal footage, and interviews have consistently shown Jimin approaching every performance with remarkable intensity, often reviewing recordings of his own stages repeatedly in search of imperfections that many viewers would never even notice. Fellow BTS members have also spoken publicly about his perfectionist tendencies, describing someone who continually pushed themselves to improve regardless of praise from audiences around the world. These characteristics present a striking contrast to the playful image many people associated with the nickname Mochi. As BTS entered a new era marked by artistic experimentation and individual projects, fans gradually witnessed noticeable changes in Jimin's public image. His fashion choices evolved toward more sophisticated concepts, his stage performances embraced increasingly complex emotional narratives, and his interviews reflected growing confidence and maturity. Solo releases such as Face introduced listeners to a more introspective side of Jimin, exploring themes of identity, pressure, vulnerability, and self-reflection. Critics and music journalists frequently observed that these projects demonstrated artistic depth extending far beyond the cheerful public persona established during BTS's early years. Rather than abandoning the qualities that made him beloved, Jimin appeared to broaden the public's understanding of who he was as both an artist and an individual. In doing so, he demonstrated that a performer can evolve without rejecting the affection that audiences have shown from the beginning. The nickname remained part of his history, but it no longer defined the entirety of his identity. Interestingly, discussions among fans have continued to reflect this evolution. Many longtime ARMY still use Mochi as a term of endearment, while others consciously choose to emphasize Jimin's artistry, professionalism, and achievements instead of focusing solely on his appearance. This gradual shift illustrates how fandom itself can mature alongside the artist it supports. Public perception is never completely fixed. It changes as careers develop, accomplishments accumulate, and audiences gain a deeper understanding of the person behind the celebrity. Official records do not suggest that Jimin ever demanded the nickname disappear altogether. Rather, his public comments indicate a desire for balance, a wish to be appreciated not only for his warmth and charm, but also for the relentless work ethic and artistic dedication that carried him from a student of contemporary dance in Busan to one of the most influential performers in modern K-pop. Looking back, the story of the nickname Mochi is not really about a single word. It is about how easily public images can become simplified, even when the individual behind them continues to grow in ways that millions may never fully see. Behind every smile that inspired the nickname stood years of exhausting rehearsals, relentless self-criticism, emotional resilience, and an unwavering commitment to artistic excellence. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not why fans called him Mochi, but whether that single nickname ever allowed the world to fully recognize the extraordinary performer hidden behind it.
Number 2. Like Crazy made Billboard history and redefined Jimin's solo career. As Midnight arrived on one of the most closely watched release weeks in modern K-pop history, anticipation spread far beyond South Korea. Fans across multiple continents counted down the final seconds before Park Jimin's first official solo album, Face, would finally become available. Expectations were already extraordinarily high. After years of achieving unprecedented success as a member of BTS, many observers wondered whether one individual member could replicate that level of global impact under his own name. The pressure surrounding the project was immense. Industry analysts, music critics, chart observers, and millions of fans were all watching the same question unfold in real time. Could Jimin establish himself not only as a member of one of the world's biggest groups, but also as a historic solo artist?
few could have predicted just how significant the answer would become. Within days of the release of Like Crazy, official chart data would confirm an achievement that permanently secured Jimin's place in music history. Released as the title track of Face, Like Crazy immediately attracted extraordinary attention across streaming platforms and digital music stores worldwide. Inspired by themes of loneliness, uncertainty, emotional escape, and the desire to remain inside fleeting moments of happiness, the song presented a more introspective and mature side of Jimin than many casual listeners had previously encountered. Rather than relying solely on powerful choreography or large-scale spectacle, the track combined atmospheric production with emotionally restrained vocals, creating a sound that differed from many conventional K-pop releases. Music critics noted its strong synth-pop influence, while audiences praised its cinematic atmosphere and vulnerable lyrical direction. The release quickly generated remarkable commercial momentum, with fans organizing large-scale streaming and purchasing efforts across multiple countries. However, regardless of fan enthusiasm, the final outcome would still depend on official chart calculations based on verified sales, streaming activity, and radio performance. When the next Billboard rankings were officially announced, history had been made. According to the official Billboard 100, Like Crazy debuted at number 1, making Jimin the first South Korean solo artist ever to achieve that milestone. The accomplishment immediately became one of the defining moments not only of his personal career, but also of Korean popular music on the global stage. For years, BTS had collectively broken countless international records, expanding opportunities for Korean artists in markets previously considered difficult to enter. Yet this achievement represented something different. It demonstrated that a Korean solo performer could reach the highest position on one of the world's most influential music charts under his own name. News organizations around the globe covered the accomplishment, while entertainment analysts described it as another milestone in the continuing globalization of K-pop. Official chart records confirmed what many had considered nearly impossible only a decade earlier. The significance of this achievement extends beyond a single number on a chart. The Billboard 100 has historically been regarded as one of the most competitive rankings in the international music industry, combining physical sales, digital purchases, streaming activity, and radio airplay into a single performance metric. Reaching the top position requires extraordinary commercial support, as well as widespread public attention. While discussions surrounding chart methodology frequently emerge whenever major records are broken, the official ranking remains one of the industry's most recognized indicators of commercial success. Jimin's accomplishment, therefore, represented not merely a personal victory, but also evidence of the expanding global influence of Korean artists. Music journalists observed that the achievement reflected years of gradual international growth for K-pop rather than an isolated event, with BTS playing a central role in transforming worldwide perceptions of Korean music. Equally fascinating was the artistic context surrounding the success of Face. Instead of creating a project designed purely for commercial appeal, Jimin chose to present deeply personal themes concerning fear, identity, emotional conflict, and self-reflection. Interviews surrounding the album indicated that he wanted listeners to experience emotions that felt authentic rather than manufactured. This artistic direction resonated with audiences who appreciated seeing a more vulnerable perspective from an artist often associated with polished performances and global superstardom. Songs throughout the album explored psychological struggles that many listeners found relatable, adding emotional depth to a project already receiving enormous commercial attention. Critics frequently noted that Face succeeded because it balanced mainstream accessibility with sincere personal storytelling, allowing Jimin's identity as an individual artist to emerge more clearly than ever before. The achievement also reignited broader conversations about the evolution of Korean artists within the international music industry. Years earlier, many believed that language barriers would permanently limit the commercial reach of Korean musicians outside Asia. Yet official chart history now presented evidence to the contrary. BTS had already demonstrated that global audiences were increasingly willing to embrace Korean language music, multilingual releases, and artists from entirely different cultural backgrounds. Jimin's success with Like Crazy further reinforced the idea that talent, emotional connection, and artistic authenticity could transcend traditional market boundaries.
Industry observers suggested that milestones like these would likely encourage future generations of Korean soloists to pursue international ambitions with greater confidence than ever before. For Jimin personally, however, the record represented more than a statistical achievement. It symbolized years of continuous growth, beginning with his early education in contemporary dance, continuing through an intensely demanding trainee period, and eventually leading to worldwide recognition as both a BTS member and an independent artist. Behind every headline celebrating the Billboard #1 debut stood countless hours of rehearsal, vocal development, creative experimentation, and personal perseverance that audiences rarely witness. Success at this level is seldom the product of a single release alone. It is typically the culmination of years spent refining one's craft while adapting to an industry that constantly evolves. Looking back, Like Crazy will likely remain one of the defining milestones of Jimin's career for many years to come. It demonstrated that he could stand confidently as an individual artist while simultaneously contributing to the broader legacy of Korean music. Yet perhaps the most intriguing question remains unanswered. If this historic achievement marked only one chapter of Jimin's solo journey, what extraordinary milestone could possibly come next?
Number 1. Jimin is widely recognized as one of BTS's most generous members. Long before headlines celebrated sold-out concerts, record-breaking albums, and historic achievements on international music charts, another side of Park Jimin's character was quietly taking shape away from the spotlight over extended periods, before eventually being confirmed through official announcements or the organizations that benefited from them. In an industry where celebrity philanthropy often receives immediate media attention, several of Jimin's charitable contributions became known only after educational institutions, nonprofit organizations, or local authorities publicly acknowledged them. This pattern has led many fans and observers to describe him as one of the most humble and generous members of BTS, not because of carefully crafted publicity, but because many of his donations were never intended to become major news stories in the first place. Official records published over the years consistently show that education, youth development, and community welfare have remained recurring themes in his charitable activities, reflecting a commitment that extends far beyond the image of a globally successful entertainer. One of the earliest aspects of Jimin's philanthropy that attracted widespread attention involved his continued support for educational institutions connected to his hometown of Busan. Public reports have documented donations intended to assist students who faced financial difficulties, helping provide scholarships and educational opportunities for young people pursuing their studies. Rather than focusing solely on large symbolic gestures, these contributions addressed practical needs that could directly improve students' daily lives. Teachers and local officials who commented publicly on these initiatives emphasized the positive impact such support could have on families and educational communities. While celebrities frequently participate in charitable campaigns, consistent contributions toward education often leave lasting effects that continue long after media attention has disappeared. For many observers, these actions suggested that Jimin had not forgotten the environment that helped shape his own early development before achieving international recognition. As BTS's global influence continued to expand, so too did public awareness of Jimin's charitable efforts. Various officially reported donations were directed toward disaster relief initiatives, educational foundations, children's welfare organizations, and social support programs within South Korea. Some contributions were announced only because recipient organizations chose to acknowledge them publicly, while others reportedly remained anonymous until details gradually emerged through official statements. This approach distinguished Jimin from the common perception that celebrity philanthropy is always accompanied by extensive media campaigns. Although complete anonymity is not always possible for internationally recognized public figures, the available records indicate that several of his donations were made without seeking public recognition. Fans frequently pointed to these moments as evidence that his charitable work reflected personal values rather than promotional strategy. Experts who study celebrity philanthropy have often noted that public influence extends far beyond financial contributions alone. When globally recognized figures support educational causes or humanitarian initiatives, their actions frequently inspire fans to participate in similar charitable activities. In Jimin's case, numerous fan communities around the world have organized fundraising campaigns, scholarship projects, environmental initiatives, blood donation drives, and community volunteer programs inspired by his example.
These projects, while organized independently by fans, illustrate how positive actions by influential artists can create a ripple effect across international communities. Rather than simply admiring their favorite performer from a distance, many supporters have chosen to translate that admiration into tangible acts of kindness within their own societies. This phenomenon demonstrates that philanthropy can sometimes become contagious, spreading through shared values instead of direct instruction. Another remarkable aspect of Jimin's public image is the consistency between his charitable actions and the personality described by people who have worked alongside him. Throughout interviews conducted over many years, fellow BTS members have frequently spoken about his empathy, emotional sensitivity, and genuine concern for those around him. Staff members, collaborators, and industry colleagues have likewise described him as someone who consistently treats others with respect regardless of their position. While such personal accounts naturally represent individual perspectives, they align closely with a broader public record of charitable initiatives associated with his name. Together, these observations contribute to an image of generosity that appears rooted not merely in isolated donations, but in an overall pattern of behavior recognized by those closest to him. Of course, like any internationally recognized public figure, Jimin's charitable work has occasionally become the subject of online discussion and speculation. Some observers have questioned whether celebrity donations receive disproportionate attention compared to the countless anonymous individuals who contribute quietly every day. Others argue that public recognition of philanthropic efforts can encourage broader participation in charitable causes, ultimately benefiting society regardless of motivation. These conversations continue across media platforms, but the official documentation remains consistent regarding the existence of Jimin's contributions. Public records from recipient organizations, educational institutions, and nonprofit groups provide verifiable evidence that many of these donations were real and produced measurable benefits for their intended communities. While opinions regarding publicity may differ, the documented impact of these charitable activities is considerably more difficult to dispute. Looking back across Jimin's journey, from a young student in Busan studying contemporary dance, to a trainee racing against time before BTS's debut, to a global superstar breaking international music records, it becomes clear that his legacy is defined by more than artistic excellence alone. His performances have inspired millions, his achievements have reshaped expectations for Korean artists worldwide, and his charitable efforts have demonstrated that influence can be measured not only through awards or sales figures, but also through acts of compassion that improve the lives of others. Behind every standing ovation and every record-breaking milestone stands an individual whose quiet generosity has earned admiration beyond the entertainment industry itself. Perhaps that's why, among countless accomplishments associated with Park Jimin's name, many believe his greatest legacy may not be the records he has broken, but the lives he has helped change without ever asking for recognition in return. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all is how many acts of kindness remain unknown, hidden behind a smile that the world has come to recognize but may never fully understand.